Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and in this video I'll be talking about project management methodologies. These are simply approaches or ways that you choose to manage your project. And we have two major methodologies. We have the Agile methodology, and then we have the Waterfall methodology. I'll start with the Waterfall methodology. It simply means managing projects in sequence or in a linear form, such that when you have to gather all your requirements before the project commences, and then you plan it in such a way that you know exactly what you're doing next. So you do activity A, activity B of say phase 1, phase 2, as the case may be. So when you finish phase 1, you go to phase 2, you go to phase 3, and then you complete the project. The advantages of this approach is that, first of all, it's a simple and predictive way, meaning that you know what's next. There is a sequence of activities that you have to follow, and everybody in the team knows what they're doing next and all of that. It's quite predictive. Tasks can be better managed using this approach. Another advantage is that there is a lot of documentation. So if you're managing a project that involves heavy documentation, that involves compliance and all of that, right, the waterfall approach can be advantageous in this regard. Then we have another advantage, which is that all the requirements are already gathered at the beginning of the project. Now, what are some of the disadvantages of this approach? Number one, there isn't flexibility. There's no much room for change, because changes in this instance can be expensive, might be costly, and there is really no room for you to make changes. Another disadvantage of this approach is that there is heavy documentation. Sometimes documentation can really impede, the speed at which a project is run or is executed. Another disadvantage is that issues might not be easily identified, because testing is usually done at the end of the project. The final disadvantage that I'll talk about here would be customer satisfaction. It's not suitable for a rapidly evolving environment, in a situation whereby changes occur very frequently. Because you can't make changes, by the time you're done with the project, the customer might not really need that product that much, or it might not meet the expectation of the customer. Now, industries that use waterfall approach would be construction industries, aerospace industries, and then when you're managing large governmental projects, such that you require heavy documentation. Imagine you're building an airplane, for example. You need to document every single step. So you can't just make changes on a whim like that. Now let's talk about Agile. Agile means managing projects in iteration and in incremental form. And what does this mean? Iteration means doing the same thing in a repeated manner. And increments basically means breaking down the work into smaller chunks, such that when you do a small chunk of the work, right, a small increment, you repeat the same process until you finish the project. Let me try to explain what that means. Say, for example, you're developing a software, you're building a software, right? There is maybe the design phase, there is the development work itself. There are different stages of the project. When let's say, for example, you're designing it, you check with the customer, you you review the work that has been done, and then you get feedback, and all of the lessons learned, the feedback is taken into the next phase of the project, maybe the development phase and all of that. And you do that until you finish all parts of the project, right? Maybe the development is you're supposed to develop maybe 5 features. Each feature is broken down. You're not just going to lump it together to say development. You're breaking down each feature. You're getting quick feedback. There is a lot of collaboration that goes into the Agile delivery methodology. And one of the advantage of Agile delivery methodology really is that you can respond quickly to changes, right? It enables you to think on your feet, get feedback, plug those changes into the next iteration that you're doing, and then makes the product better. Another advantage is that you're able to churn out, say, product or solutions in very quick timelines, right? Rather than waiting till, let's say, a project that's supposed to take, say, 6 months, rather than waiting at the end of 6 months to get value, right? You can already see value, let's say, in 3 weeks if you manage the project in small chunks. So that's an advantage. Another advantage really is that there is more collaboration. The team works together rather than in silos. But a disadvantage of agile methodology is that sometimes when you keep changing things, it can get tiring and you might really not arrive at the end, quickly of your project. That's a disadvantage. And sometimes changes can sometimes wear the team out, and people are like, okay, is this person going to have another wish? Is this person going to want something else? And all of that. And industries that agile methodologies are used are, say, software industries and all of that. Now, when you have a project and you're wondering what approach to take, right? I mean, the kind of project that you're managing would definitely determine the approach to take. And even the construction industry that I've talked about, right? It's possible to have agile methodologies also infused in say, the design phase of the project. For example, let's say the interior design part, rather than waiting till you finish designing all of the rooms, all of the maybe the living rooms and the kitchen and all that, right? You can get quick feedback from the customer to say that, okay, the design phase, what do you think about this design? Do you like this color? Do you like this texture? What style of, or what feel of vibe are you going for? When you get their feedback, when you implement in one room, right, you also get their buy-in to say, what do you think about it? We've implemented it. Let's see what's your opinion about it. Do you like it? Sometimes you think you like something, and at the end of the day, you're like, I don't really think I like it. Able to make change to, let's say, that one room, rather than doing all, say, 10 bedrooms or whatever, and then the customer is like, I don't really like this, I don't really like this. And you're wondering, but you could have said something. Well, it would have been nicer if you had shown the customer, say, room one, to just get their feel and their buying. Going back to Agile, Agile has 4 major values. And number 1 is there's prioritization of people over process. I talked about collaboration. It's about the people, it's about the team managing the project, and it's ultimately about ensuring that products are properly delivered, rather than saying, oh, did you follow this process? Did you do this one? You're supposed to do A to B, how did you? There isn't much emphasis on processes and procedures. Another value of Agile would be that there is prioritization of customer satisfaction over what is in the contract, right? Rather than saying, yes, but you asked for this, we're not going to change this because, it's not in our contract and all that. You're looking out for ensuring that the customer is satisfied, because our world is changing, things change rapidly. So I might have wanted something in January and February comes and I want something else. So the goal of Agile is to ensure that the customer is satisfied. Another value of Agile is that there is prioritization of a working software or a working solution over heavy documentation. I mentioned that for traditional, when you need to comply to, say, a set of rules, really, you have to use Waterfall. But for Agile, there isn't much emphasis on, you have to document every step, every procedure. They just want to get something out. They want to get a software or a solution working. What can we churn out within the shortest period of time, right? Rather than say, oh no, we've not documented, oh, you just step A, step B, and all of that. The last value of Agile would be adapting to change over following a strict plan. As I mentioned earlier, there is a lot of flexibility in Agile. Rather than saying, oh no, we've agreed that this is what we're going to do, we're not going to change it and all that. There is a lot of flexibility. You should be able to adapt to changes quickly. Customer wants red, now doesn't want blue color. How can we change that and all that? I'll give an analogy. I read this analogy actually, and I think it's very simple, and it's something that we would all learn from to understand the differences between Agile and Waterfall. Imagine you're writing a book, say a book that has 5 chapters. You have the introduction and then the remaining 4 chapters. What approach do you think would be better? Would it be better for you to write the entire book before getting somebody to edit the book, to proofread it, to look at how you string your ideas together? Or it would be nice to get feedback in the introduction to say, what do you think about this introduction? Do you like the thought process? What do you think I can improve better on? Which of the books do you think would come out well? Book A, which is you wrote everything and then you're giving it to somebody to read, and then you have to make lots of changes to chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, up to chapter 5. Or as you progress in writing your book, you get feedback on chapter 1, you plug that feedback, you make chapter 1 better. It means that chapter 2 is going to be better than chapter 1. When you get feedback on chapter 2 again, you plug it in, it's going to make chapter 3 even better. And at the end of the day, you have a better written book than the other one when you had to write everything and then now you're going to chapter 1, chapter 2. You might end up, you might as well just stop writing the book or start all over again. Anyways, I hope that this is simple enough. The goal of this series is to break down project management in very simple terms, such that anybody who is interested in project management can understand this concept. And I hope I've been able to do that in this video. Thank you, everyone, and I'll see you in the next episode of the project management series with Hannah. Bye, guys.